What up, football fans all over the world? It's your boy, Mac the Giants fan, here with my guy, the super dope co-host, Adam Costas. You all know what time it is. It's time for that real deal NFC East round up. Punch that intro. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Real Deal NFC East Roundup. It is week 1, and it's getting for real now. Adam, tell them how you feel, man.
I am feeling great. The regular season is here. I can't believe it, Mac. I can't believe we've been doing this show for how long, and we do them in the summer. We did our normal training camp show in July, and now here we are on the doorstep of the NFL season. And I don't know about you, but I'm excited. I know I'm excited. I'm excited to be back in the regular season with you. I'm back starting the regular season because we don't have to talk about cuts and all the little preseason drama that we kind of have to drum up because there's nothing really to talk about. We are here. We have a live football game. I'm excited. I know you are as well.
I am indeed, man. I am indeed. I can't wait to get this season underway tomorrow night, even though it's just the one game tomorrow night. But I'm still excited for it. It's a big game. A big game is reference to the New York Giants as far as we're concerned anyway as fans of the Giants. So it's a great way to get the season kicked off. A lot of storylines surrounding this game now. Obviously, a huge one we'll talk about in a minute, real quick. Just touch on in a minute. Obviously, talking about clearly the Michael Parsons situation. This is just. I'm excited. This football season is back, man. This is my favorite time of the year for a reason, man. It's just nothing like football season, man. It's nothing at all like football season, man. So
you just said favorite time of year, and it just brings me back to my song that I sing. That I stole from Andy Williams, and the most joyfulest time of the year because it's fun, and I'm so excited. I can't even stop. So Mac, navigate this ship right here, man. I don't want to take up any more of the time.
Well, I figure we might as well just get right to it. Tomorrow's actually we got two NFC East divisional matchups this week. Therefore, you only got 2 games to really talk about, and we're gonna just dig into them, man, and just pick them apart a little bit. What's going on, FD Davis? Thanks for stopping in, man. Appreciate it. You're new to the channel, man. Make sure you go hit that subscribe button, man. Hit the like on the screen for us, man. It's just really appreciated. Help support the channel. Help keep everything growing, man. But and it is like I said, it's football season. Let's get to it, man. Let's get to it. Y'all see that right there? Tomorrow night in Philly at Lincoln Financial Field. You're going to have the Philadelphia Eagles, the defending champion Philadelphia Eagles, hosting the Dallas Cowboys, man. Now, Micah Parsonless, the Dallas Cowboys. That news that came in late last week. Micah Parsons being dealt to the Green Bay Packers, man. If you want to talk about that for a quick minute, see what impact that could possibly have on the game. Thanks a lot, FD. I appreciate that too, by the way.
Well,
see what
I think it's interesting. I've been watching the Cowboys documentary, and this reminds me of classic Jerry. I told you last week, and I was wrong, that I thought this was just a negotiation tactic. And it turns out after further investigation that, like we talked about, Jerry had a deal in place, and he had more money that he was going to give to him over a longer period of time than what was offered. But his agency, Athletes First, where again, he thought he had a deal with Micah. Turns out he doesn't. So what happens now? Now you shake up the team. Well, to me, they're going to be a storyline the entire season, because if their defense falters and Micah Parsons flourishes, it's going to look bad. If what they need is, with the news that just came out, the injury to Micah Parsons, what you need is him to be compromised a little bit. He doesn't have the 14 sacks this year. He doesn't be in the running for the league MVP, because right now we know it's a big blow to the Dallas Cowboys as a talent. Now, my question becomes, is this addition by subtraction? What I mean by that is, they already had some guys in here. They brought back Dante Fowler. They had their second round pick that they have. They can have some guys that can generate some pass rush. Now, they're not on the level of Micah Parsons, but we brought up this question a couple of days ago where, hey, no Mets, where how is Green Bay going to use Micah Parsons? Because with the Cowboys, he was off the field for a lot, for drives. There's a drive in Thanksgiving that I'm watching, stuffing turkey in my mouth, while I watch the Giants play football, and I don't see Micah Parsons on the field for the Giants drive. And then the Giants come back on the field, and he's still on the sideline. So it turns out maybe he was dealing with that back injury a lot more, and that's why I was on here. My point is, they already know how to deal with him not being on the field because he was injured last year, and he takes some drives off. So I think they're going to kind of still be the same. Now they'll just have to figure out how are they going to replace those 14 sacks? Who's going to be the guys or the collective group that is going to replace that? And obviously, it's hard to do that. I know I don't want to diminish, Micah Parsons, because I think, to me, I would have kept him, right? But, Jerry did what he did, and he thought it was best for the team. And, in the long run, yes, you get 2 first-round picks, and everyone's already anointing these 2 first-round picks as busts. Oh, they're going to be busts. Yeah, I'm like, the Cowboys draft pretty well, so you don't know what they're going to do with those players. And then this is what happens when you sign Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. They went full offense. They talked about it. We talked about it on this show. You're going to lose one of the cogs. The cogs that they're going to lose is Micah Parsons. We'll see how it affects them going forward. But tomorrow, they need to focus on the Eagles right now. And we'll see how their defense holds up. Parsons wasn't that effective against the Eagles when he played them, because that offensive line is tremendous. So we'll see how they scheme this pressure up, and it's going to be a story the entire year.
Yeah, I mean, to me, Micah Parsons is just a huge impact. It's a huge blow, regardless, no matter how you look at it. I know people have been trying to downplay it a lot. A lot of Cowboy fans. I've talked to some Cowboy fans that are just absolutely pissed about the whole situation, and I talked to some that have tried to diminish what Micah Parsons was and what he really truly meant to this team. Things that people saying things about Micah Parsons that you never heard before this trade last week, that are now all of a sudden it's like as if no, not that big a deal. We're better off without him and all this other. No, you're not better off without him. That you're not better off without him. I'm sorry. There's nothing you can say to convince me that you're better off without him. Sure, you might still be able to make some things work out. And I hear what you said, made some good points about, sometimes Micah Parsons, it's like sometimes he can be like, especially against the run, it comes to run the ball at him and things like that nature. It could be somewhat ineffective, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I absolutely agree too. No mess with that comment. People, New York Giants fans, did do the same thing about Saquon Barkley. I mean, it was the same difference with that. I mean, some people that said things about him that you never even heard while he was actually here, and then when he leaves, all of a sudden it's just try to undervalue what he truly meant to the team and what he truly was. I mean, but I think I think what Micah said though was just that thing about the Micah Parsons situation is that he's one of those guys, like, he comes into the league, every season. He's going to be a top candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. He's just that kind of caliber talent. He's and when you need a play, he's that guy that's there that you can count on that can make a play in a clutch moment that can just completely turn the game upside down.
Tell me when he's done that so far, because this is a good debate I want to talk about. real quick. I don't want to stick on Parsons, but I was on the phone with somebody and I was asking myself, we like Parsons. He's a dominating player, right? But they lose games with him, right? And he wasn't on the field. It's not like they came back on the field this year and all of a sudden they were winning. They won games without him. So my question is, we talk about this defense and the game changer. Myles Garrett is a game changer, right? To me, that guy is. He played with basically stress fractures of his feet. Like, the guy is an absolute animal, and he affects every moment of the game. He's never off the field, even with injuries. So while I like Parsons and he comes in, and I do believe he's a great talent, are we overvaluating him a little bit? Not saying that he's not bad, but I haven't seen him make the impact plays since his rookie season. I've seen him make sacks, some big tackles here, but his rookie season, he was a terror. And ever since then, he's been consistent in getting sacks, but he hasn't been Myles Garrett level where we're like, every year we're talking about Myles Garrett in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. And I feel like Micah Parsons the last few years, while he has been good, hasn't been TJ Watt good or Myles Garrett good. But he's been good because he is who he is and he's sustained what it is. So that's why I want to ask, like, are we missing something here? Is he not as good as we think he is? Should he be, like, how do you view him? Because that conversation to me was kind of interesting where, Micah Parsons makes impact plays, but yet at the same time, I only see him in flashes in a couple sack game here, a couple sack game there.
Well, I think part of what it is it's just that because I just see him as a phenomenal talent. I see him as a great, and I believe that he. Because like when you said like they lose, they win games without him, and they lose with them. I understand all of that, but so do those other teams with those other great players. I mean, at the end of the day, he is still only one player. He's still only one person, and the fact that when he's the impact person that he is, of course he's going to get things schemed in his direction a little differently. You know what I mean? It's not. And I get it, like you said, they deal with all of that too. Myles Garrett, all those other guys, they all deal with it. But at the end of the day, his production still pretty much matches. He's up there. He's still on that same tier of player. Like, he's on that same level as far as what he ultimately gets done. Like last season, what did he have? What was his final stat line last season? And fairly limited action as well. I mean, once again, it's just over the top what he does, man. And I feel like you just can't. You can't discount that as the kind of impact that it truly does have, especially when you got a guy like Micah Parsons. It makes some of the other guys on the team look maybe a little bit better than what they actually are because he's dealing with so much attention that some of the other guys are getting the one-on-ones that he never gets. You know what I mean? So it's a domino effect when you have a player like that. And you just take him away because it's going to be interesting to see this team tomorrow night. I mean, against obviously a very good Philadelphia Eagles team defending Super Bowl champions, but I just feel like that's where it really is where we're going to really see. You're going to see the ripple effect of losing a Micah Parsons, whereas now we don't have this one major superstar to just teams to just focus on. So now some of these slightly lesser talents, not necessarily all bad talents. Obviously, they have some good players over there still, obviously, for sure. But now they're going to be dealing with some of these extra maybe double teams and things and such like that. It's just going to have a ripple effect. That's all.
I want to see what Eberflus comes out with because I know I was into Mike Zimmer last year and maybe I gave him too much credit and pontificated him. But Eberflus did have solid defenses in Chicago. They may not have good offenses, but they definitely had a solid defense. Right. So I guess what I'm going to see is how well does Eberflus scheme up the pressure as they talk about, because that's essentially what Jerry Jones and them were talking about this year was scheming up pressure. And I'm just trying to figure out how Eberflus will handle this. Will it be different scheme now that people are out there, right? How will it affect them? Because we talk about Micah Parsons and he does a lot in a short amount of time, right? It's funny because I look at Von Miller. The only reason I'm comparing him is because he was on the field. He made 13 tackles and he had 6 sacks. So half of his tackles were essentially sacks. So what I'm saying is Micah Parsons like that, he gets his numbers in a vacuum in a window, right? So I can't wait to see how Green Bay uses him because maybe this back injury is a little bit more than significant, and that's why he hasn't played all these snaps, because you just said that he played this limited amount of times plus these snaps. This guy should be leading the league with 20 sacks. If he plays, my expectation level for Green Bay now is if I'm sitting here and listening to Adam and Mac's show, and I'm a Green Bay fan just trying to tune in to see what the local buzz is about the Cowboy trade, and I hear that Micah Parsons, didn't play a certain number of snaps and he had this many sacks with this amount of plays on the field, well then he better be leading 20 sack season next year, because that's what my expectation level has to be. Because if he was on the field the entire time, he would have been defensive player of the year, right? If those numbers hold up, but he wasn't, and he's not always on the field like Met said in always the biggest moments. So I want to find out with Green Bay, because now he's going to be relied upon as the guy. They're going to play. They played him. Apparently, they lined him up as a defensive end. That's what he's being designated at over there, as a D lineman. So how will that role change for him with his hand in the dirt? Because if he goes to Green Bay and doesn't have the impact that he has, then the Cowboys are going to look great. Now, again, compensation for him. They've already had people have already played without him on defense. This will be the first time Eberflus doesn't get to use him, because we'll see how he does it, how he schemes. And he had to have been a big component of this trade with Jerry Jones. He had to have been like, sign off like, hey man, we're going to get rid of Micah Parsons. Do you think you can scheme up some pressure or something? And he had to have signed off on that, because again, he is the defensive coordinator. And they brought in a couple guys who I want to see, their second round pick and Dante Fowler, who can rush the passer. So maybe again, I know it's a big impact, but I want to find out the real Micah Parsons, because if he goes and he plays and he does what I expect him to do in Green Bay, then it'll be a bad look for Detroit, the Cowboys. I know we're talking about him, but in the game, I want to see how Philadelphia comes out and now plays this defensiveless Micah Parsons. How does that affect what they do, right? So, and I don't know if Trayvon Diggs is going to make it out there. Have you heard anything?
I don't know if he's going to play. I know he was got off. They took him off the pup at least a week ago or something like that, but I'm not sure if he's going to. I haven't heard anything about whether he's going to actually play or not. But what's going on? Hey, in the chat, Coach Ed, appreciate you popping in.
Ed.
Peace and blessings to you as always, man. What's going on, Zion, man? Appreciate you popping in, bro.
Coach Ed, we need to start that business, start recruiting these high school kids, getting our agents, yo.
And Joey 77. And Joey 77, I appreciate you as well. Thanks for popping in, man.
Joey.
I just it's gonna be tough, man. I just feel like we know what Micah Parsons is, like I said, and I think it's gonna it's gonna definitely have that impact. I just don't. Like I said, it's like that's what I call, like I said earlier, the ripple effect thing, man. Whereas now you're going to actually see how good these other guys actually are when you don't have somebody else taking some of the attention away from them. When that spotlight is now just going to be on them. When the focus is going to be on Dante Fowler, for instance, now probably will be maybe most teams' main objective to try to slow down on that front and that up front for the Cowboys. Now it's going to be like. Now the attention is going to be rolled towards a guy like him as opposed, and we know Dante Fowler is good talent as well, but he's not Micah Parsons' talent. You know what I mean? It's going to be interesting. But like you said, when it comes to the game, it's going to be interesting, man. So with these Eagles, what they do, how they do go out there and attack this team now that doesn't have this guy that they probably have been preparing for all through the summer, getting ready for in this game, obviously. And now you take him away, subtract. I mean, so I just don't. I don't see how this really truly benefits the Cowboys personally. Eberflus, yeah, sure. I hear he put together some good defenses in Chicago, but like I said, we lose a player like this. Of course, you're going to go out there and you're going to say all the right things and say that you feel comfortable with what you got and but at the end of the day, There's no you can't he's one of those kind of players where it's not like it's just to me they're trying to talk themselves into that they're going to be they're better off without him and better off without this without this better off without him and this that and that. Of course they're going to try to talk themselves up and feel that way. But let's face it, man. We all know the reality. There's just no way that this defense is made better when you take a piece like that away from it. You just don't. You don't get better when you take a piece like that away.
The onus is now on the offense. I understand what you're saying, and we always talk about this being a team game, right? A team sport, and it shouldn't rely on one man. So while that one man is a very big presence, the team now has to figure out how to move on without him, because guess what? If he went down with injury, which he did last year, they had to move on with him. Now, this is not the same defensive staff. So I don't know I don't even know what they're going to deploy out there. So that's if you want to talk about strategy, sure, the Eagles can go back to maybe some of the Chicago tape, but this is a different personnel he's rolling out there with. So there is a little unfamiliarity with the Eagles because they haven't necessarily played Eberflus's defense constantly. So that'll be interesting to see how he uses these new pieces and these new parts. I think they're trying to build a secondary with Deron Bland. They do have Trayvon Diggs. They also have a couple other guys. They got Akir Elam.
Trayvon Diggs is set to play tomorrow night, they said, too, what I just read. So.
I don't know why I'm even clapping my hands and being excited. I don't even know why I just got excited by that. But, the point is that these teams are building with DBs because if you look at it, every team in the NFC East -1 has 2 receivers that these teams need to go against. So it's really going to be about the front 4 more so than just one guy pass rushing. And they've added Dante Fowler, who had 10 sacks with them a couple of years ago. They got the second-round pick they liked out of Boston College. He's going to get some burn. They have Sam Williams out there on the defense. They just got Kenny Clark, who hopefully will be able to help out with Mozzie Smith and shore up some of their run game because that's what the Eagles are going to try to do. We haven't even talked about the offenses who on both sides of the football, which are both dynamic offenses. We're sticking to defense because of Parsons, but let's just kind of get into that right now. I want to see how they're going to generate this pass rush without Parsons because they said something in the press conference that was kind of interesting. They're trying to get there with their front 4, and I hate that answer. I'm an old school blitz the shit out of you kind of guy. I don't care if it costs me points. I need to get to the quarterback because that's the way to short circuit an offense. So if they're not going to get to the quarterback and they're going to stay in their rush lanes because of Jalen Hurts, it's going to favor what the Cowboys, what the Eagles do. If the Eagles can somehow if the Cowboys can somehow get the Eagles off the field and stop the run a little bit, which is hard to do against the best offensive line. Some people are going to argue because they lost a couple pieces on the offensive line that they're not as strong, but I don't. I think they still have Saquon Barkley. They have A.J. Dillon now. They're really just to pound down your throat, and then they can open it up and throw deep. So I really want to see how the Cowboys kind of contain this offense defensively without Micah, and then offensively is where I think the Cowboys are going to need to make their kind of, how should I put it, even balance from the defense. We talked about Micah Parsons not being there. Well, what can impact that is having good offense and scoring points. So if they can score points and keep their defense at just a kind of a rush mode where they can, come up with some creative ways to scheme, as they say, pressure open, that's one way to do it, is a powerful offense. And I want to see that Dallas Cowboy offense and their offensive line because we don't talk about their offensive line. They have first-rounders across the board. Like their entire offensive line is a first-round pick of some sort.
They got 3 Tyler's on their starting offensive line. How about it?
And they're all first-round picks. So I want to see how they're going to gel. I think Guyton is coming back, if I'm not mistaken.
He's playing. He's also playing tomorrow night. They said he's on track to play tomorrow night. Yep.
So offensively, I want to see how George Pickens does because we forget about him. We've been overshadowed with this Micah Parsons drama that we haven't even really dove in, even through camp, because of Micah Parsons and what was going on, about how George Pickens is. And they got George Pickens, and I'm excited to see what he brings. I hate to say that as a Giant fan, but as an overall football fan and if you're into fantasy, you're kind of want to see how they do. So this guy, George Pickens, a guy that I followed quite closely, and Joe Shane, I hate to say this to you, you're going to get a good look at him twice a year for probably the next few years. I want to see what he can do, because if they can get some semblance of a pass game and can score, maybe the defense not being as potent with Micah Parsons, if they can keep up the track meet with the Eagles, maybe that'll help them. And that's what I'm going to lean on if I'm a Cowboy fan. This offense needs to be humming, and it shouldn't be too much of a drop-off, because Brian Schottenheimer was in Mike McCarthy's offense last year. They're basically taking the same offense last year and putting it out this year. The only difference is that you're really going to find out what kind of a play, I guess, in-game play caller that Brian Schottenheimer is.
Well, what's going on, AK? Thanks for popping in, man. NFL reality check, man. But look, here's the thing about when the Cowboys offensively. Here's like the George Pickens, the receivers, they got the dynamic receivers out there, George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb. They're still a very unbalanced unit until proven otherwise. They have to show the ability to run the football. And what we saw this offseason with Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, it still does not look very promising that they're going to be able to successfully put together a consistent run game week in and week out. And they get tested early with this Philadelphia against the Philadelphia Eagle defense. And that's where I think this game it comes down to. Like when you talk about the dynamics, how they can be dynamic offensively. Well, I think that's where they lack at is their ability to run the football. Whereas the Eagles are obviously a very competent running team, can run the football as well as get it done in the air, And I feel like pretty much all the other three teams in the division are just a little more balanced, overall balanced, including the New York Giants, a little more balanced at least. You know what I mean? As far as their ability to do a little bit of both things. I mean, I might be stretching a little bit with the Giants, obviously, until they prove otherwise as well. Just their offense can function, period. But at the same time, this Cowboys team it's the same thing as a season to go, man. They just have to show an ability to run the football, which I'm not sure if they're going to be able to do. I mean, I'm just not sure how you feel about that, and how do you think that can affect them even in the passing game as well, if they become a little too one-dimensional in some of these football games?
Well, for the Cowboys, they need the run game, like you said, to balance them out. The Eagles are different because they have Barkley. They have arguably the best back in football. So for them, everything is just they can beat you so many different ways. The Cowboys have to figure out, with that offensive line, we talk about first-round picks. They got to start to play up to first-round level. Like, that's what they need to do. I don't know who their offensive line coach is, but if I'm Jared Jones and I'm the coach, I'm walking in there and I'm talking to this offensive line, you guys got to start playing like you're the first-round picks, because that'll make or break this season, right? I think Dak Prescott's going to come back and he's going to have a magnificent year. He always does after injury. Barring he stays healthy, I think he'll be a threat in the passing game. Where, like you said, their weakness will be is the run game. But here's the thing. I think it'll depend on the defenses they play. Because let's say the Eagles, right? They have Jalen Carter there. They may not match up well with smaller defensive ends. Then you come to another team where they match up a little bit better, right? And I think the Cowboys need to the thing I'm worried about with their offense has nothing to do with their talent. It's more to do with their coaching staff and when they will be called. Because Mike McCarthy was a different play caller. Brian Schottenheimer, from the limited times I've seen him, hasn't been great. So I just want to – that's my main concern about their offense. I think their offense is so talented that it's underrated. We'll see if Javonte Williams can come through, because I'm intrigued by him. And I know they drafted a guy that they like too, the blue kid. I think his name is Jihad Blue. I don't know his first name, but I think his last name is Blue. He's running back, and I think they like him. So we'll see what happens. I mean, the Cowboys have nothing going for them except – it's kind of funny. They have a head coach on the defense and an offensive coordinator on the offense who's running as a head coach. I could easily see them firing Brian Schottenheimer and flocking to Eberflus. I could see something big happening. The Cowboys have to come out and be competent against the Eagles, I would say, offensively. They don't need to be a juggernaut right now. They need to show, all right, we can go toe-to-toe with them offensively and move the ball up and down the field. Defensively is where they're lacking, and that's where you're going to find out when the rubber meets the road how good the Eagles are. Because I think the Eagles are just so dominant offensively with their talent, it's hard to beat them just by looking at them. Because like a good fighter, boxing, like a good fighter, if you can knock somebody out with your left and your right, you're almost unbeatable. Even if you sustain some body shots, you're almost unbeatable because you can just knock somebody out that quickly. And that's what the Eagles can do. They can hit you with the run game. They can throw it over the path. Their quarterback runs. And their offensive line is arguably the best in football. So, it's like, how can you stop them?
Well, the Cowboys are going to get their opportunity tomorrow night, man. What do you think they truly do? What do you think the Cowboys do need to do? How do you think the best way for them to truly attack this Philadelphia Eagles defense is, man?
I think they need to do they need to shorten it up. I think you said they need to run. I think they need to pass to set up the run. And what I mean by that is, West Coast, short passes, let them get one-on-one with the cornerback, slant routes, kind of use as an extension of the run game. That's what I think they need to do offensively. Defensively, I don't think they can sit back and just let the game come to them. I think they got to go make opportunities. I think they got to go try to blitz Jalen Hurts. Maybe you catch him napping. At the beginning of last year, the Eagles had to kind of get their sea legs about him. Maybe you catch him off guard because remember, we haven't even talked about the Eagles side. There's a lot going on over there. Nick Sirianni's trying to pretend that they're not Super Bowl champions and restarting all this stuff and trying to block out the noise. How do you know they don't come out sluggish or just a little bit more overconfident because they don't see Micah Parsons over there? So we'll see how they take advantage of it. To me, they got to keep the game close somehow, some way. Defensively, they cannot let Barkley run for 200 yards. They will not be in the game. And offensively, you got to convert your third downs and score when you can, right? They do have a decent kicker. So hopefully they can get some points off that. And I believe you need to score points regardless of how they come, find a way. Because a team like the Eagles, they're just good. They're just so good. They're going to score points. They're going to find a way. You need to score points when you have a chance.
Well, AK is typing East. He's talking about what he feels is the Eagles' biggest weakness is their CB2 spot right now. It looks like, I don't know if Adoree Jackson has won that job or what, or whoever. I'm not sure, honestly. But it seems to be a weakness. He feels like it's a weakness.
George Pickens over a scrub number 2 corner? Because that's where I'm going to go. If this is true, and I'm George Pickens, and I'm lining up out on the field, and I look up, and there's Adoree Jackson in front of me, if I can't beat that sumbitch all game long, then I got real problems.
Well, but Adoree Jackson is still a stabby vet. He's going to still, he's going to make his plays every once in a while too, here and there. At the same time, but that's the thing. But that's what I mean. Like, is this the Eagles? Is this Cowboy team? Like I said, I think it comes down to their ability to be able to get it done on the ground a little bit and balance their offense out a little bit. I feel like we know what they're capable of in the passing game for sure. You know what I mean? They have, like you said, they have one of the probably what's going to prove to be one of the best receiving tandems in all of football when it's all said and done this season. That's just facts. George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, that's a phenomenal duo, guys to have. But
they're going to have to run the football regardless.
But that's my point: is that are they going to be able to? And they never were able to. They never really were able to get the run game truly going the season ago. I feel like they might have upgraded the room a little bit this year. Technically, on paper, it's a little better than what they brought in last year, what they had out there last year. But it's still, as we saw throughout the preseason, it just still didn't really seem to get going. It didn't seem they still wasn't. It just wasn't that good. I know Dak Prescott gets paid a lot of money. So, hey, why not put it on his shoulders, man? But I just don't know if they're ready to handle. If he's ready to handle all of that.
Well, I don't know. This is why I say the O-line's got to play like first-round picks. Okay, you're getting paid. All right, your job is to blow holes open for your running backs. Now, the fact that they don't necessarily have, I don't know, I guess, did they name a starter? Who is the technically number one back? I guess it would be Javonte Williams.
It's Javonte Williams.
Right. So we'll see. I mean, maybe we need to factor in something that we never factor in. A team is a sum of its parts. So sometimes a running back may not be good at reading the hole. And so maybe he makes his own hole or goes off script. And maybe it looks good, but that's not how the flow of the offense is supposed to go. So maybe Javonte Williams can be a better stabilizer and can be a little bit of a bell cow for this Cowboy team. Because they're not going to need a lot of running. They're going to need to get, try to get like 4 or 5 yards. Just run enough where you don't have teams that are going to sit back and pass on you. But here's the thing. With that being said, now you have 2 receivers that are good. The teams like the Eagles can't stack the box, right? They're not going to be able to because you have 2 potent receivers who, again, me, if I have Adoree Jackson on me and I'm Dak Prescott and I come to the line and I know we have a run play called and I see 8 in the box and I have one-on-one on the outside, I'm changing the play up and I'm going, let me go, throw the ball deep to this cornerback over here because they're trying to stop the run and trying to make us one-dimensional. I'll take my chance with that. So what does that mean? I feel like the Eagles are going to have to, not always stock the box. So this is going to give a chance for a running back like Javonte Williams, who is more of a downhill runner, right, to find those running lanes. And if they can do that, and Jalen Carter has been a problem sometimes if you watch the film where he kind of washes himself out of a play because he'll try to penetrate the gap to the left side and the Cowboys or the offensive lineman kind of just plays right into it and the running back runs right off of that. So however they scheme, they don't need to be home run hitters, but they need to be effective. And if I'm them, I think it plays into the favor that the Cowboys will be able to run the football a little bit against the Eagles because the Eagles are going to have to compensate for Jackson. As much as I like Adoree Jackson, as do you, let's be honest, he's not the most physical corner. And I guess he does his job, but there's a reason why he's been a journeyman. And a team like the Giants, who is not, doesn't have great corner talent, let him go, right? So for me, if I'm George Pickens and I'm trying to get paid and I'm the Cowboys, that's how I'm going to run. I'm going to try to spread them out and try to get the matchups I want and then run the football downhill with my offensive line. Those are the 2 ways they're going to do it. Now, strategically, again, defensively, I don't know how the Eagles will come out and defend here because if they start to eat in the passing game and they have to take people back and they can't blitz as much, will that then play into the Cowboys' favor with their big offensive line and some of these backs like Miles Sanders who can catch the ball out of the backfield, right? It's going to be an interesting matchup. I'm excited for it.
Well, okay, we talked about a couple. We talked about Michael Parsons obviously earlier, and that's a guy that the Cowboys did not sign. But how about a couple of the guys the Cowboys did sign? And it's their starting cornerbacks, Travion Diggs. They signed earlier, right before training camp got underway. I believe they had took care of him, and Deron Bland, they just signed a couple of days ago. Extended a couple of days ago. I mean, you think the pressure is a little bit more pressures on guys like that on the back end of that defense now to step up and be the leaders and try to replace some of that production, leadership production type of production, at least as far as on the field production anyway. A guy like that they losing it with a guy like Michael Parsons.
I guess they have to step up in terms of making plays now, right? If you're getting paid that kind of money, you need to make plays. I mean, they signed Trayvon Diggs because 1 year he had 11 interceptions in the year. So they signed him. So your playmakers have got to make plays. And if he's getting $96 million, I hope that he can go toe-to-toe with Devontae Smith or whoever he's lined up against, right? I'm not saying be Deion Sanders out there, but, I expect you to be able to have Jalen Hurst's eyes go a different way because you're, he's covered over here by Bland and then Trayvon Diggs. So like I said, they're putting a lot of emphasis on their corners. It seems like the entire NFC is doing that because the entire NFC East let's be honest, minus the Giants have 2 number 1 receivers on their team. Devontae Smith, I was talking to somebody, he's a 1A on most teams, but he's a 1B here because they have A.J. Brown. And then you have CeeDee Lamb, who's a 1A, and then George Pickens, who could be a 1B somewhere else. So if he's a very good number one on another team, he's going to be a great second receiver on these type of teams. So yeah, you got to pay Deron Bland. That means he's got to make plays. So we'll see what happens. And if they can do that, and they can knock a few balls down and get the Eagles off the field, they'll have a chance. And that's all you can hope for if you're the Cowboys is that your star players can step up. And I don't know how they're going to be deployed by Eberflus. We'll see if they can get some turnovers.
Well, all right, Adam, it's that time, man. How you see this game playing out tomorrow night, man? Thursday night at the Link, man. How do you see it playing out, man?
With that being said, and all I've said, I think the Eagles are going to win. I think the Eagles are they're the best team in football. You got to respect that they're the champions. And I think we got a lot going on that night. It's going to be an emotional night, even though Nick Sirianni doesn't want them to see the banners. You can't help that feeling of winning a friggin' Super Bowl. And home opener, I just can't look at the Cowboys with what's going on with Micah Parsons. I just don't see them winning the football game with the drama leading into the game.
I'm curious to see how the Cowboys not only come out and play, obviously, but just respond, how they can respond to everything that's been going around, circulating throughout all the training camp and everything, the off season. It's been a lot of drama, and it usually always is in Cowboy land, but this has been a little more than the normal, obviously, this season. I'm curious to see how they come out. I think that the Philadelphia Eagles right now, I can't bet against them right now at this point until somebody shows me otherwise. This is the best team in the NFL. Period. Either conference, AFC, NFC, they're the best team in the NFL right now. And until somebody can knock them down, prove them otherwise right now. And I can't bet against the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't even think this is a close game. I think the Eagles run away with this one, man. I think they roll the Cowboys here, man. I think the Cowboys are going to be a bit of a mess trying to figure out what they need to do to navigate this season based on everything they've been through this off season. And I think going against a team like the Eagles week 1 is just not a good recipe, man. I think the Eagles actually blow them out. I can see this being a blowout tomorrow night. Honestly, not even that interesting of a game when it's all said and done.
Well, Cowboys, you heard it here. We are giving you no respect.
I mean, they got to go back out there and earn their respect back, man. Right now, they look kind of a mess right now. They got some things that I just feel like they need to address. What's going on, Jay Ferris? Thanks for popping in, man. I appreciate you, man. Right on time, bro. Right on time, because we about to get into it. He said that's an Eagles win by 10 plus points. I definitely agree, man. I just don't see it. I don't see the Cowboys, like I said, being very competitive in this one, honestly. But I could be wrong because I'm no expert, and you never know. Things happen. This is still an NFC East divisional matchup. You never know. If you get that version of Dak Prescott that you expect to see out on the field, Adam, then you never know because they do have a couple of dynamic receivers, and they do have some playmakers over there, man. So, if they can get that run game going, that would only be an added bonus, man. What's going on, Eagle Scout Room? Thanks for popping in, man. Definitely appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe and like. Hit that subscribe and like for us, man. I hope so. I hope you're right. I think he is, man. He's a bad man. Sexy Dexy is going to do what it do, man. Mm-hmm. But anything else on this game, Adam?
Nope. I just look forward to actual real football being played.
I do too. So let's get to Sunday at 1:00 p.m. Eastern Time down in the nation's capital. The Washington Commanders coming off of a very surprising season a year ago in 2024, man. Looking to show everybody that it was definitely no fluke. Hosting the New York Football Giants Sunday at 1 p.m., man. Adam, let's talk about it, man. What you got?
Well, all I can say is, as a Giant fan, I'm a lot happier going into this game than I was this time last year. Regardless of what the result will be, I already feel the optimism is breathing a breath of fresh air just because of certain people that we've acquired. And for me, it's an interesting game to first see because one, this is Brian Dable's fourth year. Okay. Will he be the man that we are thinking that he is? Or is he only here for one purpose? Right? He hasn't been the best in-game manager when games are close. Last year we lost the game because we didn't have a kicker. We couldn't really put the ball in the net. I mean, sure, you can blame Malik Neighbors, who only caught like 10
that's
passes for
so ridiculous.
160
People do
yards.
that. So ridiculous.
Right? They want to blame him because he dropped the football. But yet, if your coach puts up a guy who is injured, and at least if the guy's out there and he misses the kick, all right, so be it. He misses the kick. You would at least had a chance to do that. You didn't give yourself the chance to do that. I don't even know who was kicking in that fucking game at one point.
We had the punter, the punter,
Gillian.
Dylan. He attempted one extra point that was a failure, then they never went back to one. They never even tried again after that.
Exactly, they went for two for every time, right? Because of a missed extra point, and they couldn't hit a fucking field goal. And then you want to blame Malik Neighbors? Well, look, to me, I don't know what the outcome is going to be, but we need to see a few things. One, can they stop the run? Because right now, the Commanders are coming in with a lot of pressure on them. This feels like we're going to be winning at halftime, then Jaden Daniels is going to scramble for the yards and third and forever and beat us. Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to lie to you. I wouldn't be surprised if your arms ripped out like that.
That is some New York Giant shit right there. That's some New York Giant
way to put that in. Way to put that in the ether. Way to put that in the.
It is.
Like now you're gonna fucking watch that happen too. He's gonna have some fucking magic sizzle. He's gonna be the Giants pass rush is gonna shut him down the entire game, right? And then it's 3rd and 18 on their own 20-yard line with the game to go. They're down by 4 points. They're not the score. This guy runs for 50-yard gain and slides. He dinks and dunks, and next thing you know, they're in the end zone. They win the game, and we're sitting here like, what the just happened? It's a car wreck, right? But no, for real, this game really comes down to the run game of the Commanders. And I mean, even Jaden Daniels, he's going to be part of that run game, right? He is going to be doing bootlegs and running out. The Giants pass rushers have to remain contained. If they get overzealous, I love the dual card, but if he gets overzealous, this is where that veteran savvy or the savvy of a quarterback who can see things coming at him can be the difference, right? If he goes in there reckless abandon and he's trying to go tackle Jaden Daniels and he slips out and the whole right side is now open because he decided not to stay in his rush lanes, that is what's going to hurt the Giants, okay? They run a wide 9, which I'm a little worried about. Not to say the Commanders are a great run team. They're a makeshift offensive line, right? They're still trying to come together. They got Laramie Tunsil, but in order for the Giants to really be in this game, because I think offensively the Commanders are going to try to lean on their offense with Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin, who, by the way, burns everybody. It doesn't matter who the Giants put out there. He burns everybody. The only thing that is interesting to me is I heard a funny stat where in his opening games, he only gets 63 yards. I'm like, yeah, you would put that stat out there. Now he has Deebo Samuel, and we'll see how the coverage is rolled. So I'm kind of interested to see how the offense is, but the Giant defense has to be the reason we win this game. Because offensively, I think we're okay. I'm not as over the moon with this offense like other people are. Because my theory. I think you should start the kid, but that's just me. And we'll see what happens. Russell Wilson, I'm a little worried about the interior, JMS. If he is not the guy that we think he is, and they do a lot of interior pressure, that's going to kind of be where I believe Commanders are going to come with their pressure is the interior. They're going to try to see if Russell Wilson still has juice behind those legs and those lines. Remember, we talk about Jaden Daniels' juice, right? Russell Wilson, that's what they're going to try to attack. And I want to see how his mobility is out there. And we got to run the football. And the one thing I will say is this. Tyrone Tracy, know who you're dealing with. Know who you're dealing with, because Bobby Wagner and Luvu, they know you. They know you're going to run the football, and they know that you have a fumbling problem. So they're going to try to stack you up and punch that ball out and try to rip it out until you prove that you're not a fumbler. In their eyes, that's what they're going to look at. And you cannot put the ball on the ground. You cannot have mistakes. You've got to be the better team. This is a litmus test. Nothing to lose for you Giants. Nothing to lose. Consider this the Tennessee Titan game in 2022 with Daniel Jones. A team that went 12-4 the year prior, okay, or 12-5, whatever I remember the mathematics changed over, but 12-5, and then they come in playing in their building with high expectations. They came in and you had the balls to go for it, and you made plays, and you had interceptions. You've got to be close to the vest. You can't have late penalties, you can't have holding call. James Hudson, if he starts, I'm a little worried. I mean, I know Von Miller is fucking old, but you talk about being a savvy vet in Adoree Jackson. Von Miller is a savvy vet, and you don't want a holding call that could derail a promising drive, because the Giants have got to be able to go blow for blow with this team if it gets into a shootout or a track meet.
Well, I love this comment up here because to me, this is where it's going to come down to. Because Washington is absolutely going to try to run the ball at the Giants. They're just going to send those running backs. I mean, like I said, it's a committee, and it's not even is no real one standout. Anybody once it's going to be a committee of guys. Austin Eckler, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, Jeremy McNichols, or Chris Rodriguez. I don't know who they're going to have activated all for this game, but they're going to try to run the football at the New York Giants, and that's what it's going to come down to, is winning on first and second down, man. Because the strength of this defense, we all can agree, is that pass rush. You need to get this team to obvious passing situations on those third and longs and put them in those situations, and that's where this defense will be able to thrive, I believe, if he can get to those situations. But it starts with winning on first, second down, man. You got to be able to slow their run game down and keep them instead of being in third and manageable, keep them in third and longs. It's gonna absolutely take that kind of effort. So if the Giants aren't able to stop the run, it's going to be a long afternoon for them. Unfortunately, I just don't see them being able to have much success if they're not able to come up with a way to slow this run game down. Now, with that being said, we got a couple horses out there. Dexter Lawrence, mentioned earlier, a guy like Sexy Dexy, and if he can get any kind of actual support on the interior and really help keep our linebackers a little clean, let them be able to flow to the football a little bit better, and keep them a little, like I said, keep the offensive linemen off of them. I think that we could have some success here, man. I think this New York Giant game also, as far as offensively for the New York Giants, this is a matchup in which you're right. The New York Giants they don't have the most dynamic offense, at least not on paper, as far as what we know, or what we think we know right now. But at the end of the day, this is probably an ideal matchup to test their offense, to see exactly where their offense kind of stacks up, because this is a defense where I know what you said, but I still feel strongly is the absolute weak point of this Washington Commanders.
Yeah, but if you look at their
is the actual. Let me finish this point. And I feel like this is the weakness of their defense. This team is their defense, man. And I feel like that the New York Giants have to be able to maybe get something going offensively, whether it's even in the air or on the ground against a defense like this. I just feel like this is a defense they should be able to exploit a bit. But I don't know how you feel about that.
Well, I think their cornerbacks are better than we think. And the experts believe the same thing, that there's only like two guys I saw on NFL picks. I think it was Bucky Brooks and somebody else who picked the Giants to win. But for me, Marshawn Lattimore, they saying, it could be hearsay, but they're saying that he's looking like himself, like his his nice New Orleans days, the guy that they got, right? They like Trey Amos, who's come along. Sarah still they have at the one spot. So for me, if I'm looking at it and I'm looking at my defense. If Marshawn Lattimore and Trey Amos can't really if Trey Amos can't cover Darius Slayton, then I'm going to question you as a second round pick, because to me, I'm like, Darius Slayton is not the greatest cover. So for me, while you're worried about their secondary and what they're doing, I'm looking at them. They have above average corner play, and they really only need to really bracket Malik Neighbors, right, and do just enough to stop the run, right? We got to find out if Kinlaw pays dividends and they can get a little penetration, because they don't need to do much, in my eyes, to be effective. They need to be a middle-of-the-road defense, get a turnover here, get a turnover there. But that's what they were last year, and now you're inserting Trey Amos, who they think is pretty good, and now you can cover anybody's three receivers out there with the three corners you have. It makes for an interesting matchup when the Giants go to pass, right? So that's why I think in order for the Giants to win this game, if the Commanders are penetrating the Giants' interior, right? Because Kinlaw is supposed to bring that little bit more aggressive presence. They still have Daron Payne. This might help out Daron Payne. We talk about Dexter Lawrence. Daron Payne's nowhere near that Dexter Lawrence, but he is a quality defensive tackle, and having a guy next to him in Kinlaw might help him be able to collapse the pocket a bit. And if that happens, how do the Giants respond? Because if I'm Dan Quinn, I've got my best corner on Malik Neighbors, and I have my other corners being able to do the job against Slayton, Theo Johnson, and Wan'Dale Robinson, right? It's not like the who's who. It's not like you're playing George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. You're playing Malik Neighbors and whoever else they decide to throw out at number two, whether that's Bo Collins, Darius Slayton, or Wan'Dale Robinson, right? So for me, I need to see the Giants lean on the run game, because if they can do that, then it could open up play action and maybe get guys to bite a little bit who might be a little bit over aggressive trying to intercept the Russell Wilson pass or something along those lines. So that's where I would say I'm not necessarily saying the defense is atrocious, but if you look at their overall personnel, I see not a Legion of Boom, but I see the effect of what Dan Quinn did in Seattle, and I'm starting to see what they're doing here in the back end of that secondary with three solid quality corners. That's how they're going to try to get their pressure, is by covering you, and then there are guys like Miller, Kinlaw, and a few others can actually get there and sack you. So that's how I kind of look at it.
I mean, look, I hear that, and it can be all come up to be very valid. I mean, Dan Quinn is a great defensive mind. I just feel like Marshawn Lattimore, he's a good corner, he is, but Malik Neighbors is one of those. He's one of those receivers. I mean, he's one of those guys that it's a big ask for any cornerback, not even for any cornerback around this league, period. Even the absolute best. You know what I mean? Malik Neighbors that's a big ass trying to cover a guy like Malik Neighbors and trying to take him out of the football game. And then as far as even with the other giant receivers, sure, I get it. None of them are necessarily world beaters in the league. They're not great, but they're veteran guys. Trey Amos coming into and playing his first real NFL game here on Sunday. I mean, to me, it's not. I can't be quite as dismissive as think he's just going to go out there and take out whoever the other Giants, other receivers are, because these are still veteran guys out there that are going to have the ability to probably make plays, or should at least have the ability to make plays against a rookie defending them, especially if they get locked up in some one-on-ones. Like a Darius Slayton, he might not be awesome. Darius Slayton may not be necessarily awesome, but he's been consistent throughout his career as what he is, right. and he can he can make some plays here and there, and he can definitely get downfield and make some big plays down the field, and he's proven that always. He's always proven that every year that he has that ability to get downfield and make some big plays downfield. And with a quarterback that has no problem unloading it down the field, it could just be, like I said, a lot of things could be different. Like I said, I don't know what to truly expect with this New York Giant team. With different level, what I believe is going to be a different level of quarterback play, no matter who's out there, whether it's Russell Wilson, whether it's Winston, whether it's Jackson Dart. I feel like it's a different level of quarterback play this season, and I don't know what to truly expect from these receivers until we actually truly do see it, because I think the quarterback play has been so atrocious for over the last X amount of years for this New York Giant team that I feel like it has absolutely stunted the growth in these receivers as well. I do believe that because I watched horrendous quarterback play, and that's going to have and that had an effect definitely
Well,
on what some of these receivers or these receivers could possibly be.
the only thing I'm going to kind of answer your 2 points about one, Trey Amos is not like he's going up against slouches. He's going up against Debo Samuel every week and Terry McLaurin. So it's not like he's going, and I think those guys are better than Darius Slayton overall. So it's not like he's going to be, there's Darius Slayton over there. Oh my God, I'm going to shit my pants. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm not saying that. I'm
but
just saying.
I'm just saying I understand Darius Slayton as a veteran, but it's not like it's not like Trey Amos is going to go out there and be like, oh my God, he's going to be overwhelmed like he would be if there was a Debo Samuel. The other thing that you mentioned was, oh, damn it, I had the other thing. Oh. What was this? What was the other part you mentioned? Darius Slayton and the quarterback. Oh, the receivers. Malik Neighbors is going to get numbers with bad quarterbacks, right? So the reason why I'm not expecting much out of Darius Slayton is because you know if guys can do it or if they can't, right? And what I mean by that is Malik Neighbors had 4 different quarterbacks throwing him the damn ball, and he went over 1,100 yards, right? And I think he will benefit from having a stronger presence out there getting him the ball. That I don't know if that's going to elevate Darius Slayton because I think Darius Slayton is who Darius Slayton is, right? I don't know if I'm not saying he won't get 1,000 yards, but I don't know if he is 1,000-yard receiver the way we're hoping, especially like I said prior, is that the ball is going to be distributed more as we think with Theo Johnson's of the world if he plays or whatever tight end they decide to bring in. Tyron Tracy's going to get some catches. You're going to have Wan'Dale Robinson plays. So I don't know. And of course, you're going to feed Malik Neighbors. He got 100 receptions last year. So that guy is going to get a ton of receptions as well. What I think the quarterback play will do is stabilize us when it comes to idiotic moments. Like, the flea flicker attempt that basically killed Daniel Jones' Giant career,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I expect out of Darius Slayton. I don't expect him to, be this 100-yard receiver. He'll make a big catch and then a couple other catches here and there. But all I'm saying is strategic wise, I'm defending the Giants and I'm looking at them on paper. I'm telling my guys that if you can't cover Darius Slayton, who's not on the same level as Malik Neighbors, but without extra help, Lattimore, I might put a shade of safety over there. I paid him big money to be my guy to kind of, control the Neighbors situation. Obviously, you're not going to control him because top receivers beat these guys all the time, but you paid him to kind of control that side of the field a little bit. If I'm the Commanders, I'm looking at it like, well, I like Wan'Dale Robinson, but I think I have one of the best nickel corners in the game, so check that box. And the young buck that we have out there, I trust that he can go one-on-one with step for step with Slayton, who, while is a savvy veteran, is not the caliber of Neighbors. So if I need to shade a guy here, shade a guy there, that's the trust. Now, will that happen in the game? No, but if I'm a coach and I'm strategizing my defense and I'm looking at like, well, and I'm looking at the film right now and the film from last year, and the Giants' offense basically functions with Malik Neighbors, and everybody else kind of is not a superstar. They're average, they're good, but they're not great. I'm going to focus my attention on it, trying to be able to stop everybody else and figure out either I'm going to let Malik Neighbors beat me, or I'm going to bracket Neighbors and let him get his 100 yards, and then I don't need to worry about Darius Slayton because my man Trey Amos got that, right? And I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to trust him, a second-round pick who they're believing in, who they're seeing leaps and bounds. I think that's what they're going to trust, and that's what I'm saying. And that's what my concern is. And right now, on the radar on Saturdays, what I'm looking for is another receiver to pair with Malik Neighbors, because I just think that when it's all said and done at the end of the year and we're sitting here and the dust settles and we're going to the off season, we're going to be like, damn, I wish we had a more dynamic number 2 than Darius Slayton. That's all.
Well, I mean, of course. I mean, you think, look, I'm sure they'll look to improve that, obviously. going forward into the next new season, next season, and everything. But I mean, right now, I just still. And like I said, when it comes to it's a reason like with Darius Slayton was the reason why he was voted captain of the team. I mean, he clearly there's something that stands out with him in some capacity with at least his teammates for sure. Where he was one of the leading vote getters and was voted a team captain for the first time in his career. I mean, it just to me, I just think we're going to see. I think, like I said, I'm excited for this New York Giant team this year because it's like we always keep mentioning the big old black cloud lifted above this franchise. It looks like, and I'm just because I just feel like it's unknowns with this football team to me. Like I said, we've never when it comes to like we're talking about Darius Slayton, we just haven't seen him play with any true competence at quarterback. His rookie season was a pretty tremendous campaign for him. 8 touchdowns he came out with that season, which is obviously his best year. And to me, I think he can get back to making plays like that with just better quarterback play. I don't see why that would be like something out of the realm, out of a possibility for a guy like that when we have somewhat witnessed it before. And Wan'Dale Robinson, once again, like I said, I know how you feel about him. I get it. You're not really the biggest Wan'Dale Robinson fan. I get it. But I'm just also curious to see if you can, like I said, hit this guy with some passes where he can actually have a potential to do something with the after the catch, man. Like it just to me, he hasn't had too many of those opportunities. Not nearly enough anyway. So
I guess I see what you're saying to a extent. I get it, right? Because I look at like I mean, I don't know what your expectation level for Darius Slayton is, but if he gets 850 yards and like 4 touchdowns, I'm like, that's not going to be that mind blowing to me, right? The thing is that I look at guys like CeeDee Lamb and all these guys. They played with Cooper Rush and he got 1,100 yards. When CeeDee Lamb plays with Dak Prescott to get 1,700. So I expect Malik Neighbors to, with decent quarterback play, to get at least 1,500 yards of offense, right? I mean, Odell Beckham Jr. got that, and he had Eli Manning throw to him. He was dynamic. He didn't have a good number 2 receiver next to him, so it didn't help him all the time, right? Malik Neighbors is going to be that guy. He's going to get those numbers regardless of who's throwing him the football. So my question, so for me, I'm looking at Darius Slayton and I'm like, all right, well, he's been in the league for how long now, right? You don't just exponentially get that much better automatically. Malik Neighbors can, because Malik Neighbors compensated for shitty quarterback play. Now with a good quarterback, I know his numbers are going to skyrocket. With Darius Slayton, I'm not sure that's going to be the case because he just may be, because we factor everything in. Well, it's a quarterback. There were times where Darius Slayton didn't even like show up on the stat sheet. You know, whether it was a quarterback play or not, he didn't make a catch or do much. So for me, I want to see him do more. I hope he gets more burn. He's probably going to get a couple more deep balls that he normally would not have seen. But I'm not expecting him to all of a sudden, be like, oh my God, Darius Slayton, 1,100 yards and, put up Devontae Smith numbers. No. But for me, I just need to see if he's more than what he is. If he turns out to be that guy that you guys are speaking of, I will eat crow and say no. But if he's just the normal guy that we occasionally see, because the cornerback that they're playing is number 3 cornerback or a young cornerback like Trey Amos, who might bite on a double move, right? Can he do that against the big-time corners that are going to line up against him? Because I know Malik Neighbors, you flip him on one side, flip him on the other side, don't matter if me or you throwing him the football. He's going to get 1,100 yards regardless. He'll just crap and have 1,100 yards.
Yeah, because he's, like you said, he's one of those kind of talents, so it doesn't really matter with a guy like him. My thing with Darius Slayton, with a pair like a Darius Slayton and a Wan'Dale Robinson, if you want to throw him into the conversation mix too or whatever, guys like that is, look at like, okay, and this might be a little crazy, it might be a little far fetched, but okay, look at like the Patriots, some of those old Patriot teams.
Oh boy,
who were their great receivers? Who were truly their great receivers? They had a great quarterback that made average receivers look significantly better than what we thought they would be, and it's proven because what did Deion Branch do after he left the Patriots? Went to Seattle and did absolutely nothing. What did where Julian Edelman after he was no longer a Patriot? He was a solid quality receiver with the Patriots with great quarterback play. What was he, Troy Brown? I mean, he's another example. Troy Brown. It's just these a better quarterback play
David
either
Pack.
can take the average guys can take average guys and make them look a little better. That's all I'm saying. I
What's
know
the
I'm not
defense,
saying
man?
that
What's the defense?
I'm not saying that these guys are like I understand like these guys they're not all pro receivers and whatnot other than Malik Neighbors. I understand that they're not that level. But at the end of the day, they're still pretty, average, solid guys that have proven they can make some plays, and if, like I said, with consistent, better quarterback play, you might get a better version of them. That's all I'm saying. I don't
Well,
know. We're going to have to see. We'll have to all see how it all plays out. But
okay.
I
You're
just
gonna
feel
hate
like
me.
that's where I'm going with this. Is that these guys like you take like Wes Welker's. Wes Welker was butt cheeks in Miami. Absolute ass when he played for Miami back in the day. Went to New England, became a Pro Bowl receiver and all this and that, and then fell off the face of earth again. Once Tom Brady wasn't there anymore, once he was gone or wherever he did. I don't know what the hell he did with his crap. He left the Patriots, but still,
Well,
these are the examples of guys like that were just average guys that look a little better than what we thought they would be, just simply having competent quarterback play.
well, I mean that is a fair extreme. We went to the furthest extreme, and I hope I can reel us back in right here. But you're going to hate me. I think one of the reasons I also don't believe Darius Slayton's going to have the numbers you want, because one, I think they're going to run the football more, but two, I don't think Russell Wilson's a high volume passer the same way he was. He'll take a deep shot, but if I have neighbors, I'm taking a deep shot to him, right? So the reason why I'm saying that is I think with Jackson Dart, I would agree with you that he might have better numbers because that kid is bigging and booging and ping balling the ball up and down the field, right? While Russell Wilson is methodically, he's got his moon ball, he's doing this, he's a little bit more mechanical in that way, not in a bad way, but in a way where, he's not like a high volume passer anymore. And I don't think they need to be. So to me, Darius Slayton he has to have a ton of big plays in order to make that catch up, and especially because you got guys like Wandell, out there who, by the way, this is the reason why I don't like Wandell. When you trip on your own feet, when the ball's placed at you, that's when I kind of get, over you. There's a guy that used to trip on his own feet back in the day for the Giants. His name was Thomas Lewis, drafted in the first round out of Indiana, couldn't get out of his own way. Guy had an open 80-yard touchdown, tripped on the 50-yard line, on a kickoff return. Wandell Robinson, the same thing. He's caught some passes and he just kind of stutter steps and dives. Now, granted, some passes, you want to have a better throw, but Wandell just, to me, is not like, I don't see teams going and looking at Wandell Robinson going, oh man, that guy's great. Like, yeah, I get what you said with Wes Welker and everything, but that we forget about that Wes Welker team had the tight ends that were dominating that year. So any good receiver would have done well because strategically, when you're attacking the middle of the field, everybody's back. He's underneath it catching the ball. So I get what you're saying. I don't think Russell Wilson is the guy that everyone claims that he is. I think he's here. I think he's going to be an average quarterback. I think he's going to do what he needs to do. He's going to take sacks when he doesn't feel like he can make the throw downfield. He'll make some throws when he needs to, but he's not going to try to lose the game as much, right? If he sees it's there, like the Bo Collins thing, boom. But then what happened after that? We didn't really generate much down the field because he, went dink and dunk. So I want to find out how he does. And that's why I'm trying to think to you, like Darius Slayton's numbers may not look as good. Malik Neighbors will be because that guy is going to be with the new quarterback. You hope that he gets a little bit more downfield. They were saying something the other day that he's catching and have to break tackles. He won't have to break tackles with any of the quarterbacks that the Giants brought in this year. So for me, I want to see more Malik Neighbors downfield. Maybe we'll get an 80-yard touchdown if he gets hit in stride. But, that's why I don't believe also Darius Slayton is going to get the numbers because this team is going to be a run team. I think by the end of the year, Bo Collins is going to take his spot because the team is going to want to run the football. You're going to want that bigger body to come in and crack back on some of these linebackers when you also have Theo Johnson and guys like that. If you look at their roster and how it's constructed, the Giants have 4 tight ends. 2 of them or 3 of them are possibly blocking tight ends, and then you have Fedoni, who's kind of this hybrid tight end. You don't know if he blocks. You don't know if he's a great passer, catcher. He's kind of in between as he develops. So now, what does that do? If I'm bringing in 2 tight ends, because now I'm going to try to run the football down the Commanders' throats, or any team's throats for that matter, and Russell Wilson thrives on play action passing. Again, this is why I think the numbers for Slayton may not be better. Actually, he might have less catches, but 750 yards because he's caught, a couple deep bombs here and there, right, throughout a game. But I don't know if his numbers are going to go elevate. I see what you're saying with the quarterback, and I agree. Good quarterback play. If this was fucking Russell Wilson of, his prime, I'd be like, you know what, Darius Slayton, I'll put you on my fantasy team. But this is Russell Wilson of the last few years where, he's kind of just been average, and not everybody is going to be 1,000 yards when you're focusing on Neighbors and Theo Johnson and Tracy and all these other guys. I just feel like that Slayton's numbers they're not going to look that much different.
I mean, like I said, we will see. Like I said, but average Russell Wilson is still better than, like I said, with atrocious Daniel Jones. So
that's not what I'm trying to. I understand what you mean by that, because we've had dog shit here, basically since DJ took over in 2019. It's been this.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you can go back to even that rookie season. And after this, we need to get off Darius Slayton.
He's got too much.
He went down. I don't know, but
too much airtime.
Even if you go back to even that rookie season, the Daniel Jones, he missed a couple games late in that season. Eli played his last 2 games with the Giants late in that season, one against the Eagles, and the last one against the Dolphins. That game against the Eagles was a Thursday night football game, I believe. Darius Slayton, probably it might be even. I'm not even sure. I had to look, but it might be his best. That might have been his best career game to this day, still, with Eli Manning at the helm. Eli Manning and Darius Slayton had a connection in that game against the Eagles, and that whole first half of that game, it was just absolutely. And I blame that game on Pat Shurmur. Pat Shurmur screwed the pooch on that game. Second half got way too conservative, and let the Eagles get right back in it and end up ultimately overtaking us and winning that football game. But Darius Slayton in the first half of that game had 2 big touchdowns, great plays. Eli Manning just throwing the ball over the yard against the Eagles in that game, in the first half of that game. And then I don't know what happened. Second half, like I said, Pat Shurmur just came out there with a very vanilla. I guess he was playing to try to call himself playing to not lose, and they ended up still losing anyway because he just got way too conservative. But Darius Slayton had a tremendous game. Like I said, once again, with simply just elevated quarterback play. It's just a weird thing. I just want to see how it can play out. That's all. I just want to see if it can what kind of effect it can have, because I do believe what you're saying as far as we need a legitimate number 2 guy, because we don't have that. That just doesn't exist here on this roster. But I just think these guys also can be a little bit better.
Tyrod Taylor showed you a little bit that same thing, right? So, yes, no Mets. It was a night game. Tyrod Taylor showed you that he had a couple 80-yard touchdowns with Tyrod Taylor playing. So his value works well with a quarterback like Russ. But with that being said, Darius Slayton to me is no more than just a deep threat kind of guy. Like, I don't normally see him getting too many. He gets a slant route in open space and takes it the distance. He gets a deep route over here. He just is limited in what he is. And then people forget that he was a 5th round pick. So as a 5th round pick, he's exceeded expectations in that regard. Being here this long in an NFL team, the gold standards, obviously, well, not a gold standard as a person, but gold standard as a receiver is Tyreek Hill, right? He's a 5th round pick and, shattered records and done all these crazy things. When you think of Darius Slayton, who, let's move on from after this, is a 5th round pick that has had a solid career. And I just think he is who he is. So, we'll see what happens at the end of the, so over under, what do you think Darius Slayton's numbers are? Since we're talking about him right now, what are your expectation levels are of him? And then we can revisit this conversation at the end of the year and see if the elevated quarterback play really helped his numbers or his game.
I mean, I feel like with a player like Darius Slayton, you get a good 800 yard, maybe 6 touchdowns out of him or something like that. I mean, I think for him, a guy like him, that's solid production for a guy like him. I mean, I'm not expecting him to have all pro kind of numbers, because he's just not that kind of receiver. He's not an all pro talent. He's just not. It is what it is. But if he gets something like that, can give you something like that, I mean, that's a pretty solid year for a guy like him, man.
Well, that to me that expectation is too low because to me he's already gotten that with Daniel Jones being average, right? He averages 750 yards a season in his career, so getting 150 yards more and a couple more touchdowns is like, all right, well that's okay. But if he's getting elevated quarterback play, my expectation is this guy is flirting with 1,100 yards and he's flirting with like 5 or 6 touchdowns. Right. And we're like, okay, Darius Slayton, you're that. I don't believe he's the guy that's going to get 1,100 yards. I think he's more the guy that we see that's going to get 800, that's going to cap out around 850 at max, maybe 900 at best. But if I take what you're saying and saying get better quarterback play, then my expectation level should be this guy needs to be flirting with 1,100 yards because that's what, like 800.
I see that. I'm feeling more like that because I just feel like, especially depending how long Russell Wilson is at the helm at quarterback, I feel like the balls going to be spread around a lot. I mean, we're still haven't even talked about like Theo Johnson and the fact that he's going to be a part of this offense as well at the tight end spot. He's going to have his make some plays here and there too. Obviously, he's going to have his target. He's going to have his targets. Lawandale Robinson, a guy that had 90-some catches last year, most likely is going to have a substantial amount of targets. I mean, and they're probably going to have more targets than like Darius Slay. I mean, let's face. I mean, not Theo Johnson, probably maybe not, but like Lawandale, I would expect to have more targets than Darius Slayton as well. So, I mean, it's just.
So I can see this happening. Like last year, he had 14.7 yards Darius Slayton per pass play, right, and he caught 39 catches for 573 yards last year, which isn't great. But his average in 2023, he had 770 yards. He had 2022, he had 724 yards. He was injured in 2021, which I believe was off to his best start, 339 yards. So he's not going to be, to me, he's just going to be a deep threat, like Alvin Harper. He's just going to be a guy that is going to max out at probably 850 and give you probably 6 touchdowns, even with the elevated quarterback play, because he had 39 receptions and the Giants had nobody out there, even though they had no quarterbacks. They still had nobody out there really outside Malik Neighbors. And Malik Neighbors went down. You would think his numbers would go up and they would force feed him the ball. And they didn't. So now you're going to add in Theo Johnson and Tyrone Tracy, who's going to get burned in that regard. And not to mention Wan'Dale Robinson. I just don't see him eclipsing the numbers that we're talking about, because I think they're going to go, like you say, the Cowboys go running back by committee. I think they're going to go number 2 receiver by committee.
Well, yeah, I can see it being playing out something to that effect. But that's all right. We've been on this a little too long. Like I said, about these guys here, these other receivers not named Malik Neighbors for the New York Giants. But defensively, man, how do you see that cornerback situation kind of working itself out, man? Right now, the depth chart is still kind of like more up in the air, whether it's Banks, Flott, whatever. I feel like you're just going to see a lot of both of those guys on the field. I think they're going to kind of just be more interchangeable than anything else. But how do you feel like with that situation with the New York Giants?
I think they're going to play the hot hand. So, for example, if Terry McLaurin lines up on Banks and he's burning him like he did the last couple of years, they'll put in Flott. And then maybe if Flott stinks, they'll have to figure something else out. I think that's AK said the weak point of the team. I think the weak point of our team is cornerback too. I think Flott has had a better preseason than Deonte Banks. We'll see if the system is right for him. I'm hoping that Banks can, elevate his game a little bit, but to me, I'm leaning towards I would start Flott, but they're going with Banks because of the draft pick. He's a first-round pick. Flott is a third-round pick, so they're going to go with him first. But I think Flott does a lot more than he's a little bit lengthier. He's a little bit more of a boundary guy. He doesn't have to play press man like I think Deonte Banks' best system was Wink Martindale's system. It played right into what Deonte Banks did well. His liabilities were playing off ball and, having to cover without really jamming. And, he hasn't proven to me that he can cover that well, and he's going to be a big focal point. And I don't know. We'll see what happens. If he can hold up on the outside a little bit, this defense is going to be okay. I think there's going to be some holes. I'm worried about the linebacking core because if this front four doesn't get there, you got to get somebody there, right? And sometimes those guys get caught in the wash a little bit. So, and cornerback too, specifically, we'll see. I think Flott is going to be the corner at the end of the year that we're talking about, and Deontay Banks will be riding the pine. Because to me, you benched him last year, right? I think it was last year. You benched him last year. Then Flott went down with an injury, so you had to put him back in. And it's not like he got that much better. It's not like he tore up the preseason this year or anything like that. I was about to bring that up, no Mets. Somebody said that he's immature, so we'll see. We'll see if it plays out. Because Terry McLaurin's burned him. Debo Samuel is going to probably burn him. So he's just going to need to keep guys in front of him and not make the big mistake. But I don't know how I feel about Banks. What are your thoughts?
I don't think that's the problem. I mean, because he doesn't really have that big of a problem necessarily sticking with guys. It's more or less the way his ball skills, the fact that he doesn't play the ball very well at all. He never gets his head around. He's kind of always in the area, but to me, he's not like he's just out there getting completely they're just burning down the field on him. He just can't ever seem to get his head around and locate the damn football. And he needs to really figure that out. I mean, especially against some of the talented receivers he's playing against on a weekly basis, man. As far as the Cordell Flott, I think he's I agree. Like he's a little longer, lankier. He definitely has better ball skills than Deontay Banks. And I agree with what you said. I think it's going to be one situation where, like you said, it's the hot hand. It's based on what's going on the flow of the game, who's looking better when they're out there, when they get their opportunities, and then you'll just go with that. And as far as with the Met said up here about the Giants staffer making a quote about Banks, he does. He's young. He still needs to mature, grow up. And that's just not even just a football thing. That's just as a grown man in this world. I mean, that's the thing I think some of us forget about when we talk about some of these young talents in the league. They're still kids, man. These are still young guys, man. They're like this. They might be excellent athletes and are able to get to a point where they're able to play at the highest level of a certain sport or whatever. But they're still young as far as in life. They're still young and mature, and sometimes it sucks when these kind of guys are on your team necessarily where you got to wait around for them to finally truly develop and make, but sometimes some guys are just like that, man. Maybe Banks is one of those guys. Maybe he's not. We really don't know. But it's just the reality of the situation, man, with some of these guys, or they're just young guys that just don't have the full mentality of just being what it is to be a grown man and still take everything as serious as it needs to be taken. But Abdul Carter, man. Let's talk about Abdul Carter a little bit, man. Yeah, he showed some good signs during the preseason. His pass rushing ability to get back there. Still didn't record a sack in the preseason. Do you see him possibly getting that first one on Sunday against Jaden Daniels?
I think he'll get a sack against Jaden Daniels. I think because either Jaden Daniels will run into him, or he'll just careen off the side quickly. The one thing I will worry about with him though is what I talk about with the bootlegs. Is let's say Cliff Kingsbury's watching and they look at the film and they're like, oh, he's crashing now, Okay, they go in to make an adjustment and he's just jacked up. I mean, it's his first game. Why wouldn't you be jacked up, right? He's only played a few plays against actual competition, so I want to see how he plays throughout the game. I think he's a jack of all trades. I don't want to compare him to Micah Parsons. I don't want to put that pressure on him, even though he should be at that level because he's a third overall pick, so that mother needs to be at that level. But I'm excited to watch him play and see what he can do. But just make sure that you contain properly. The guy that I'm really interested in seeing on defense, though, not to segue away, is I want to see how Brian Burns is affected by Abdul Carter. People talk about Kayvon Thibodeau, but I do believe at some point Thibodeau is going to be phased out and be a bit player and be a situational pass rusher, and they're going to because at some point Carter's going to have to be on the field all the time, right? So probably down the road, but I want to see how Brian Burns is affected by this because he's the key to me for this defense to go. I need him to be – he was a good disruptor, but you're getting paid $150 million. I don't need you to lead the league in just hurries. I need you to lead the league in sacks. And so I'm looking forward to him having a big year.
That is, I hope so. I hope he does. And I think that will. I think that could happen. I think, like I said, I think it could benefit both of them. I know this is a contract year for Kayvon Thibodeau. It could affect both him and Burns. I think the addition of a Malik Neighbors, Abdul Carter out there. I just think it could have a. I think it can have a very positive impact. I believe because I think when it comes to the ego of some of these guys, they don't want to get showed up by a rookie. I mean, let's face it, they don't. I mean, Abdul Carter's a blue chipper. He came into this league more highly touted than both of those guys did, and he's already kind of taken getting a lot of the attention already, even though he's not even technically listed as the starter. So, I think it's even when it comes down to an ego thing. I mean, you watch some of the extra work Kayvon Thibodeau put in this offseason, trying to, figure out ways to improve his game and things like that. It's just like I said, everything has a trickle down effect, man. It's like that butterfly effect, so to speak. And I think it can have some positive impact on this team in general. Just the addition of having a guy like Abdul Carter, just the impact of him just being here, even without him giving you anything on the field yet, is going to have something positive, be something positive. So,
I mean, I like Abdul Carter because he has my initials, so that's cool. But we'll see how he does. Right? I don't want to put expectations on guys because we've seen a lot of guys come in and not get sacks, right? And you're like, oh, what's happening? And then the next year they break out. So, he should be better because technically he's highly touted than Micah Parsons. Although Parsons could have been drafted higher, but he had some off the field issues and some teammate issues that kind of pushed his stock a little bit.
Should have been drafted a slot higher. I tell you that.
Right. So I'm just right. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So we can say, oh, he needs to be better than Parsons, but Parsons could have been easily number one pick. There was some certain things that were like with Jalen Carter, where they're like, oh, well, he's got this problem, that problem. Of course, he slips down the thing. So for me, go out there and make some impact plays. Hopefully, this defense is clicking on all cylinders. The Giants need turnovers more than anything. I don't, 3-and-outs are good, things like that, but we need turnovers because if you have a team that's going to punt all day and pin you back deep, we need that. And I think what you're going to see, and this is what I think is going to happen as the season goes on with Russell Wilson. One, the Giants love Jackson Dart, just putting it out there. He's the number 2 quarterback. There's been a lot of things that have been there said, so I think he has a short leash. But two, I want to see how the Commanders attack this Giant offense, because if Russell Wilson is missing lanes to run, maybe he's not as fast as he once was, or he's not picking up the first down with as much juice, will the Giants say, well, out of just sheer ability to, run, will they put him in there? Because I think Dart gives them a little bit more element of that RPO game that they want to run, where your quarterback is, and with Russell, he's not really running to run. He's running to escape and, get 5 yards and go out of bounds. So the dynamic of the offense is what I want to see. If Russell is the methodical guy that I think he's going to be, then it might be time to put in Dart and say, hey, kid, you got legs and you got some juice and some wiggle. You might see a little bit more. Like when they tried to insert Daniel Jones when they had Eli Manning, because there were certain lanes when you used to watch the game where Eli could have taken off and run, but he was a pocket passer and he was trying to hold the ball, and that affected him. So we'll see. I want to see how, as the season progresses, the explosivity of this offense and the dynamicness from the quarterback position. Because if you're taking that element away from Kafka and Brian Dable, who with a running quarterback, then you might say, well, maybe my offense will be more efficient because we can run it like this. So we'll see.
I mean, we will. I mean, look, I think right now with the Jackson Dart thing is going to be more like you just said. It could happen. Who knows? At this point now, we don't know how soon it could actually happen. It could happen a lot sooner than a lot of us thought initially coming in before we saw them in the preseason. It could very well happen on Sunday, and I just, at the end of the day, you just don't know. And I think that's going to be more of a play by ear, like you said. if Russell's not able to get this offense going and really to where Brian Daboll wants to see it, or just then we'll see Jackson Dart. We'll see him sooner than people expect, or than a lot of people expect. Well, like I said, it's all a wait and see thing. Like I said, I just want to wait. I just want to see. I'm excited to see what I feel like is going to be a far more competent New York Football Giant team, man, than what we've seen, man. Miz, what's going on in the chat, Miz?
And that might be all you need to see, right? Like my expectations for this football team have reset because we have a quarterback. To me, all this is gravy. Build your foundation, build your, I guess, culture, however you want to call it, right? Get your guys in here that you deem are your guys, and then let your quarterback that you drafted cook, right? And whatever happens this year should happen this year, because to me, I don't think they're on the hot seat as much as a lot of other people do. I think they're more safe unless the season bottoms out and they completely go off the rails and get unhinged, which I don't see it. But if they end up around 6, 7, 8 wins, right, they're going to be back. Definitely, if they, let's say bare minimum 6 wins, he'll be back as long as they get to see Dart in action. And then in 2026, you'll have no excuse, because now you'll have some experience under your belt with this kid, and away you go. So to me, I'm just looking at them to be they're not going to be abysmal, but I don't know if they're going to be tops in the league. And with that being said, the offense scored 16 points a game. They need to score at least 22 points a game to kind of, beat some of these teams. So I'm hoping that they can do that.
Yeah, it was. Well, we'll see. Definitely see about that. Like I said, I think it's going to really be. I mean, it's a wait and see thing with that whole situation. So we'll see how it plays out. But Miz, Andrew Thomas, everything that I'm reading, reports I've seen, I think it would be. It would. I'd be stunned if he's out there on Sunday. To be honest, he just hasn't been been able to do quite enough work. I don't feel like, from what I've been reading and seeing.
He's out there today.
I mean, he's out there, but I'm still hearing a lot of up and down reports that he's probably not quite ready to go, man. I'm not sure, but like I said, Sunday can be a new day. Wake up Sunday morning and feel refreshed and great, and then go out there and warm up and be like, yeah, I'm playing, I'm going full tilt. So we'll see, man.
Well, but I wouldn't want to put him at that position. A guy coming off the
I wouldn't either, but I don't know. I just, like I said, I would just lean towards getting him ready for week 2 at this point now, and not even trying to force him out there in week 1, because he just hasn't been able to do enough work, in my opinion.
Well, I would have probably said 4 weeks and just let him rest, because he's not in football shape. So if you put him out there where he can work with the trainers and run and get back and have some time to rehab and do all that, right? Because he just got a screw taken out of his foot a few months ago, and now he's reacclimating himself. I just feel like don't force this guy here. If he's going to be a big part of this offense, I don't want to see him come in and then, tweak a hamstring and he's out 4 weeks, and now here we go, back to the same shit.
Well, like I said, once again, that's another mystery circulating the New York Giants, and we probably won't really have a definitive answer until Sunday, literally. So we'll find out. We'll see. But let's get to that. Let's get to it, Adam. How you see this game playing out on Sunday afternoon in FedEx Field, man?
It ends in a tie.
Wow.
Not really. No, it doesn't end in a tie, but it's so down the middle for me, because my Giants side is, oh yeah, we have a chance, but my realistic side is, this team, Washington, does have a lot to play for, and it's not. They're looking at the Giants as just a stepping stone to where they need to go, and it's in their building. I'm leaning towards Commanders right now, but it's going to be a close game. The Giants are going to keep it close, and we're not going to be disappointed either way with the outcome. We're going to be like, yeah, they beat us because Jaden Daniels has that magic, or we're going to be like, yeah, we're going into Cowboys 1-0. So
I'm leaning.
You take a tie? I don't know if I take a tie.
Well, I mean, it's better than a loss. It's still better than a loss. But at the end of the day, I'm leaning towards Washington getting us in a heartbreaker close one. I think this is going to be one of the more surprising, fun matchups of Sunday's slate. Man, I think it's going to be a really good game. And I think I'm gonna go back all the way back to what Jay said earlier in the comments, man. I just feel like it could be one of those situations where it's
Rip
a
our heart
tight
out.
game, and then Jaden Daniels just makes this unworldly like play that just completely changes the flow of the game and the outcome, and then ultimately Washington ends up clipping the Giants in the end and a heartbreaker and a close one. I think it'll be a closely contested game though. I think this will be like one of those one score affair, man.
Well, yeah, I guess I agree with that. I don't see it going more than like that score, 24-20, 27-20, you know, 27-20, something like that. I think they already have us at 6.5 point underdogs. So they don't believe in us at all
Yep,
going
touchdown.
into it. What'd you say?
That's it. Yeah, touchdown underdog. Yeah,
Yeah. So
that's what we are.
so 20-27, something like that. But I mean, no Mets. Yeah, I hope you're right, 2-0, because if they start, they need to be at least have one victory going into uh, L.A. and Kansas City. If they don't, and they're 0-2, could night the lights, curtain the season. It'll be a long year.
Well, it's not even just the 0-2 part. The it'll because it was two division games, so they go 0-2 right from the door in the division, and you haven't even played the Eagles yet. It's like what in the hell? So they need to figure out a way to definitely win at least one of these games for sure. But also
Hopefully, they come out healthy.
just for their own mental psyche, man. Like this team is a team that went 0-6 in this division a season ago.
How
You
hard
got to
that
get
is.
on. You got to win a division game. You got to figure out a way to win a couple of your divisional matchups. I mean, I understand technically we're the worst team in the division right now until proven otherwise, man. But you got to figure out a way to win some of your divisional matchups. And 0-6 in the division a season ago, that's one of the things that really grinded my gears the most about last year was the fact that we couldn't even figure out a way to beat one of our divisional foes even just once a season ago, man.
Well, we had a chance to beat the Commanders early on, and we blew it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Typical Giant fashion.
But I can see that. Like I said, it just you're right, man. It could get ugly just because of the way the state of this team has been over the last X amount of years. They don't want to get into another situation where they're getting off to a start like that. But
But you just need to be 500 headed into LA and Kansas City, because I don't. You're not going to convince me that they're beating the Chargers and or the Chiefs. I know we're in foreshadowing right now, but I'm sorry, I don't. So these two games out the gate in the division, not only are they double according to some, but they are crucial in the fact that we need to, get it started.
I agree with everything you guys are saying in chat. No Mets, like you said, it was exciting to watch this team in the preseason, but now like now it's real, man. Ain't no more it's regular season energy now. So let's see how this team truly responds. They can keep that preseason hype going, rolling. Then maybe some good things can happen for this football team. But otherwise, you just don't know, man. Tough tough to be too bullish with Russ versus Dak and Jaden and Jalen. Interesting. We won the trophy for preseason. Everyone's celebrating. That's what we did, man.
Well,
So
this is an NFC East game, so we can throw the records out the window, right? I mean, the Cowboy game is going to be tough regardless. It's going to be their home opener off of 10 days rest, probably from a beatdown from the Eagles. You think it's not going to be close. So you got to think they're going to be festering and want to look at the Giants and lick their chops saying, we don't have to play fucking the best offensive line of football. We have to play fucking Russell Wilson. And this offense is not as potent as the Eagles and everything. They're going to be frothing at the mouth, not to mention the fucking media shitstorm that they're going to be going through, right? So it's going to be a buzzsaw going in Dallas, not to mention if Dak Prescott makes it through this game, he has an 8-0 record against us and never lost. So to me, there's a lot at stake here. Washington is a tone setter. It's been a tone setter and a season setter for as long as I can remember. The Giants lost week 2 in 2019 in 2020 to the Commanders. It tanked their season. They lost week 2 against the Commanders. It basically derailed them the rest of the way. They were always up, a dollar short on everything, whether it's a missed field goal, a tackle. And so to me, they've got to figure out a way to, win these division games and these close games. The other thing I want to mention is this: they must tackle. Okay, you got to bring these guys to the ground. Guys are going to break tackles. Debo Samuel's a tackle breaker, right? Terry McLaurin is a thick, heavy guy. He can break tackles. Ertz is a tackle breaker, right? You can't have what you had in the preseason game where the guys, against the Jets was getting 8 yards a pop even after, getting a holding call with the tight end. So I think tight end is going to be crucial here. They're going to need to tackle. It's going to be a fun game. I'm excited. Wing off 2025, baby. That's what's happening on Sunday for me. I don't know what you guys are eating, but that's what we're doing.
Sunday morning, I'll be flying back in on a very early morning flight.
Red eye.
Flying back in on early morning flight, getting home in time for the game Sunday afternoon, man. So that's what I'm doing. So that's how my Sunday is going to go down. I'll probably be absolutely exhausted trying to enjoy the game, and then I also have to go to work later on that night. So yeah, I got a whole day. I got a whole day planned Sunday. I got a whole day planned.
Oh my goodness,
Sunday.
Yeah, so too bad the Giants on at 9 a.m. You could at least got in at 9 a.m. and then went to sleep and then got up to work. Oh my God, goodness gracious.
So that's how Sunday's going down. I'm gonna definitely try to get my sleep on that flight. But everybody, man, we appreciate y'all coming out, man. Once again for another edition of the Real Deal NFC East Roundup. It's real back in the regular season now. Now we got nothing but games to talk about each and every week, man. Starting with these couple this week, man. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets. Appreciate you. Miz, appreciate you. Jay Ferry, as always, appreciate all you guys and everybody else in the chat, man. Thanks for keeping the chat lit up. Thanks for coming through, man. Make sure y'all go to my channel, like and subscribe. Go to Adam's channel, like and subscribe. Hit and go to Hardcore Sports Network and do the same thing, like and subscribe, and keep supporting these streams and keep our channels all growing, man. We definitely appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all on Sunday, man. You can check me out on Sunday immediately following the football game on Sunday with the True Blue Aftermath, where I'll just talk about my instant reaction to the game, see how things went down. And hopefully, I had a lot of sad ones last year. Hope we can get some better energy on the aftermaths this season, man. Hopefully, but check me out Sunday immediately following the game, man. On Sunday afternoon. It's your boy, Mac the Giants fan. This is my guy, super dope co-host, Adam Costas. Thanks. I'd like to thank you all for listening. If you was feeling this, please take time to subscribe and smack them likes. Feel free to drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to ring that bell so you know when I'm dropping new content. It's your boy, Mac the Giants fan. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at Mac the Giants fan. That's MACDA Giants fan.